Hi, welcome to the ABCs of Information Resource Evaluation. This tutorial is going to focus on the C of the ABCs. The C stands for currency. When you are going to evaluate an information resource for currency, you're asking yourself, was this information published recently enough so that I can be sure it does not contain out-of-date information? In order to determine currency, you need to find out when the resource you are looking at was published. Check for a copyright date. In the case of a web page, you can also look for a last updated notice. One important thing to keep in mind is that how recent or current your source should be differs depending on the topic you are researching. In general, science, medicine, and technology topics are the most time-sensitive. If you are studying alternative energy sources, for example, you need to choose sources that will include all the newest innovations, like biomass fuels, improved solar panels, and hydrogen fuel cells. If you are looking for information about a medical topic, such as cancer, the currency of your resources is also very important. Because pharmaceutical companies and doctors are constantly learning more about the causes of and treatments for diseases, it is critical that your sources are recent so that they will include the latest information. This is true in any field which is rapidly changing, such as technology. Here's an extreme example. If you were researching today's teens' technology use, you would not want to rely on facts from a resource published before there were MP3 players. This doesn't mean that older information sources are no good. They can often provide excellent background information, and they are also useful if you are researching the history of advances in a field. Speaking of history, it might seem as if topics in this field would never be time-sensitive, but that's not really the case either. New discoveries can change scholars' interpretations of the past. Here's an example. Little was known about the ancient Minoan civilization that existed on Crete prior to 1952. Because it was not until then that one of the languages, Linear B, that they used for their inscriptions was deciphered. So studies from before 1952 would not include the information that scholars were later able to learn from those writings. Incidentally, the other language, Linear A, is still undeciphered. If it is translated in the future, researchers might be, and should be, skeptical of resources published today. Therefore, keep in mind that a more recent source is generally able to include a more complete picture of your research topic, because it should encompass the latest findings of scholars in that field. Older sources are useful for background information or for an examination of how a topic has changed over time, but you should also try to find a current source in order to be sure you are aware of any recent advances in the field. So, when you're evaluating a resource, use the ABCs. First, look for A, authority. Then check for B, bias. Finally, evaluate the C, the currency of the resource. And remember, to evaluate currency, you're basically asking, am I getting the whole story here, including the latest, most up-to-date developments? Happy researching!